Okay, seventh grade, go ahead and turn to page 54, please. Go ahead and turn to page 54 in your math book. And let's start off with a question. If I were to take a huge sandwich that was, say, 200 meters long and wanted to divide it equally among 20 seventh grade students, what would I do to find out how much of the sandwich or how much sandwich each student gets? Once again, a 200-meter long sandwich divided equally amongst 20 students. Yes, exactly. I would divide 200 by 20 to see how many meters of a sandwich each student would get, to see how many meters of the sandwich each student would get. And 200 divided by 20 is 10. So that means 10 meters of the sandwich would go to each of those 20 students. Now, another way to think about this is if you didn't know that 200 divided by 20 was 10, you could work out that 20 times 10 is 200 and get your 10 that way. Similarly, how can negative 25 divided by 5 equals negative 5 be written as a multiplication sentence? I'll pause the video. Okay, great. Yes, negative 25 divided by 5 does equal negative 5, but negative 5 times 5, or 5 times negative 5, does equal that dividend we started with, does equal that negative 25. So we can get the negative 5 as the answer to a division problem by setting up a multiplication sentence. All right, now let's look at page 54. Now let's look at page 54 and let's see what we have here. The essential question we have states, how does dividing integers relate to multiplying integers? That is our essential question. How is dividing integers and multiplying integers related? Now let's see here example 1. Divide integers with different signs. A machine drill is used to access water under the ground. If the machine drills the same distance each day, what is the change in the location of the bottom of the hole each day? And we see that in this picture, the water is 160 feet below ground level. So that same way we had that 200-meter sandwich dividing amongst 20 students, here we have 160 feet depth divided amongst 4 days. So essentially what we want to do is divide 160 divided by 4 to find out how much was drilled each day. We want to divide it into 4 equal parts. And once again, let's use the inverse relationship between multiplication and division. If we don't know what 1 negative 160 divided by 4 is, we can say 4 times what number is negative 160, and that number is negative 40. 4 times 40 is 160, so 4 times negative 40 will be negative 160, and now we know that the location of the bottom of the hole changed by negative 40 feet or decreased by 40 feet each day. Let's move on to the try it section. Suppose the machine drilled the same distance into the ground for 3 days and reached water at 84 feet below ground level. So this is the same situation, except instead of going down 160 feet, it went down 84 feet. And instead of it taking 4 days, it took 3 days. So what we're going to do is 84 divided, well, in fact, negative 84, since it's below ground level, negative 84 divided by 3 to find out how much was dug each of those 3 days. Now, negative 84 by 3, we may not know what that is. Negative 84, go ahead and fill that in. Negative 84 divided by 3. We may not know what that is yet. We may not know what that is yet, but we do know we can take 3, multiply it by a number to get negative 84. To get negative 84. And what is that number? 3 times what number is negative 84? Well, I know that 3 times negative 30 is negative 90. So the answer is probably pretty close to negative 30, but maybe a little bit less negative. So if 3 times 30 is 90, it turns out that 3 times negative 28 is negative 84. So we know that negative 84 divided by 3 is negative 28, which means that this first mark on the number line is negative 28, and the second one would be after adding another negative 28 to give us negative 56. Okay, so to answer this problem here, the location of the hole changed by negative 28 feet each day, or decreased by 28. Here we don't need the negative because it already uses the word decreased. Okay, and now convince me. Explain why the quotient of two integers with different signs is negative. Let's pause here. Talk with your groups. Talk about why the quotient of two integers with different signs is negative. That means when you're dividing two numbers and one is positive and one is negative, why would the answer be negative? We'll pause here. Okay, now that you've had time to discuss it in your groups, let's talk about this. Let's say we had negative 60 divided by 2. We know this is going to be negative 30, but why is it negative? Well, think about it like this. Any division problem can be written as a multiplication problem. So as you know, dividing by 2 is the same as multiplying by a half. This will give us negative 30. And since we know that when we multiply a negative and a positive, we get a negative, in the same way, dividing by a positive is also similar to multiplying by a positive.